All right, so a couple videos back, I don't know, 4 or 5 so, I introduced you to my house and my world where I live and all the art and stuff I have hanging. Well, now I would like to show you my workshop, and this is where I spend a lot of time making and creating all the fun stuff I get to create. So I'm gonna turn this camera around and show you around my shop. All right, so these are projects. Actually, this is something I made a long time ago and they needed cleaning up. So the company gave them back to me to see if I could clean them up, make them look pretty again. They just got stained over the years, but they are tasting. You put little glasses and they fill them with bourbon. And they have tastings. And the slot is for a card that tells you all about the different bourbons. So I made them, I don't know, I think it was like 75 of those. But these 5 just the other day came back to get polished up again. They had just stains. I don't know what spilled on them, but stuff spilled on them and stained. But this is the shop. So I guess starting over here, we have my bandsaw. Right now it's got this board. I have a video on this. Is my circle cutting jig, and basically this pen right here has different increments, and I can put those pins in there, and then I take this piece of basically Lexon, I can't remember what it's called, but plastic, and I can hot glue that to the piece of wood that I want to cut into a circle. So, like I said, whole video on that, go check it out. This is my lathe, and the place is a wreck because I actually do work. So this is a piece that was firewood in my backyard. And I thought, oh, that might be kind of cool. Sure enough, it is. Look at that. That's some cool stuff right there. But this is gonna be kind of a funky little bowl that I'm making. I don't get to do too much turning on the lathe because it's more for me and not for work. So here's a piece I made a long time ago, just experimenting with a bunch of scrap. So a lot of times I'll make that stuff when I don't have stuff. But look at all that dust and cobwebs. Oh well. Here is my racks of lumber that are pretty full. As well as some more bowls that I've started over the years. I'll get to them. This is, in my opinion, the biggest waste of money. If you can find one for $100 or less, buy it, but don't spend what I did. This thing's a piece of junk. It's the biggest paperweight I've got in here. So more, I guess, live edge, rough sawn cut boards. This is potentially going to be a coffee table for my house. Let me back up. This is kind of my scrap shelves that I throw everything on. And then on the other side over there is more wood racks. Let's see, more. I mean, I've got so much of this scrap that I throw so much away. We'll walk out front of the shop. I'll show you. All this here is, I tell people, I put a post on Facebook, come get it. You can have it. Maybe just leave me the buckets. Look, I've got so much scrap. It's insane. So, table saw, phenomenal. This thing's a beast. It's amazing. Like I said, more buckets, notepad. This is a jig for making more of the tasting boards. It kind of cuts that little slot down so the glasses can sit down in it. This, see if I can back up enough, is 2 bookshelves, and inside that cavity that's actually backwards. So that's the front side. Turns this way, and it sits, the bookcase sits on top of the cabinets on the bottom. And in between the bookcase is going to be a fake fireplace that I have to make. This is a project, a friend of mine brought me a bunch of black walnut that he and a good friend of his cut down and milled, and his good buddy passed. So I'm making him a giant end grain cutting board out of this. So he's actually going to be delivering a little more lumber today for me. This is a bourbon barrel that I converted into a liquor cabinet. And my buddy that is getting this, I made him, this was the prototype for that company. I made them boxes to hold a kind of a gift bottle. And he's gonna get the prototype because he's bought a few things from me. So I'm gonna surprise him with that today. Another little tool that I use it, but not nearly enough, but it wasn't expensive. Here's the other rack of wood. A lot of that is walnut. Over here, this is another cool thing I like to do with the my scrap. So this is like a box of my scrap pieces here. And I take those scrap pieces and I make cityscapes, like landscape pictures. So this will all get glued down, cut, I'll frame it. And you know, it's about as big as like something that would go above a mantle, fireplace type thing. So pretty cool stuff. Yep, there's another skateboard. I'm a skateboarder. This is my snack area, bathroom. This is my job board. So that's how I keep everything straight, is I put everything on a clipboard that I'm working on. I can walk in here, stand in front of this wall, figure out what I need to work on today in case things are drying, glues, whatnot. This is a cart that I can pull around that's got all my the tools that I use quite a bit, with the exception of in my little hip pouch here, I have stuff that I constantly use, but this is like a little bit of, I use tons of this stuff. The other thing, I don't have an actual hammer in this shop. I've got mallets, a rubber mallet. I've never needed a hammer, so it's kind of weird. Here's some of my work that I do some painting and laser etching. There's some more, that's another scrap, what I've done with scrap pieces to make. Another shelf with odds and ends of everything. Here's some more, you know, little tasting flight board things. Here's another shelf of tools. And I don't really organize. I mean, I know where everything is. This is a phenomenal dust, whatever you want to call it, respirator. It's battery powered and it pulls clean air in to you and kind of lets you breathe clean air. This is the chop saw station, which is pretty decent. I'm still in the process of building a shroud. Well, not the process, I haven't done it yet. To pull, this is actually hooked up to the dust collector, and it pulls as much dust as it can, but I need to build a shroud so it funnels it all down into there. Here's another one of those buckets of scrap. One of the greatest, not one of, the greatest lunchbox planer you can get. And I am not sponsored by that company, but if anybody wants to message that company, I would absolutely love to promote. I do promote without them paying me or anything. It's a phenomenal planer. I've actually rebuilt and everything on that. So there's that station. I have a little drill press. I don't use it very often, but it does come in handy from time to time. And like I said, this is the heart of the shop, is my table saw. So it is about lunchtime. Here, I'm gonna back up so you can kind of see. This is the whole, I'm trying to step in this puddle. So this is the whole shop, and so it's about lunchtime, and I think I'm gonna walk up the street because literally like 500 feet away is just so much graffiti and murals that I want to take you on a tour of that, because that's part of my shop world and my art world and it's incredible. So I'm gonna turn the camera around again and we're gonna go for a walk. Sound good? Okay, so this is outside the back of the shop. This crazy long big tower. Let's see if I can get to it without tripping. That is literally right outside my back door. There's this really cool warehouse that is filled with artists and creators, some offices as well, but there's a really cool art gallery right over there. So we're gonna walk actually right down here. So this is back here is where I park. This alley is what I come down, and it's just super cool. I'm really, really fortunate to get these views. It's actually a nice day. It's been raining for, I don't know, 5 days straight, something like that. We've had flooding all over the city. And today is the first day it's not been raining. So just on the other side of the tracks here is a Muhammad Ali mural. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Little space alien, hot girl, skull kind of thing. Let's see. I'm gonna go down, look down here, down the railroad tracks. Let's see if I can go around. There we go. More cool stuff. Yeah. Here's a fun little tidbit. This blue building right here, about 20 years ago, my roommate and I rented that and ran a poker room out of it. Shh, don't tell anybody. That's what I did for a living for about a year, was hosted poker games. So this is another one of those murals. And this is all like I said, 500 feet from my shop, which is incredible. So like I said, 500 feet. You see that tower? So here's more of the art, and I don't know if you guys can tell or know, just out of, we're on our second mural of Muhammad Ali. So you probably can tell that I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, which is pretty rad. But they, I think it's once a year they host an event, and I'll have to find out more info on it. But they invite a bunch of artists to come here and do murals and graffiti in honor of one of their fellow artists that had passed away. So, and it happens every year. I actually came up here and talked to the two guys that did this mural. And they are LA based. So they flew all the way in from LA to do this mural in honor of the gentleman that passed away. But there's so much. It's insane. It is so much fun. Like, look, just across the street, another amazing mural. That little mural on the side of that building, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not 100%, but I think that's a entomologist center where you can go learn about bugs. that sort of a thing. Or at least it used to be. I took my kids there many, many years ago. I don't know if it's still that way or if the murals have just stayed up, but either way, kind of cool. So this is the Logan Street Market, and inside here, we'll walk through it, is filled with like, it's almost like a craft fair in a sense. It's filled with all kinds of local artists, craftsmen, vendors, food, all that sort of stuff. So we'll go ahead and walk in. Oh, that's not where I want to go. This. Check this out.
Tear up the clubhouse, dude. Don't tear up the clubhouse.
Oh man, this place is so freaking cool. A gentleman I just talked to said they got a big event going on down here tonight. It might be a live band, some DJs, who knows? But so freaking cool. There's a really good coffee shop. What's up, boss man? Hey, what's up? How are you doing? Alright, we're gonna go upstairs. This is where a lot of the vendors are. So freaking cool. If you ever get to Louisville, I highly recommend checking this place out. Among many others. Maybe I'll do a tour of Louisville and all the cool handmade unique places in the city. Birdhouses. You know what? Maybe that will be a next video. Put in the comments if that's what you want me to do. Is do a tour of this. Hey,
My little slice of heaven.
this is amazing. All right, leaving Logan Street Market, and actually in like 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks. It might even be sooner than that. This place is doing a craft fair. So this whole, there's this little dead end street. That's the market there. Will be filled with booths up and down. I've done it a couple times. So I'm gonna head back to the shop. And like I said, if you want me to do a video of other spots in Louisville, I would love to. So, like, subscribe, help me make more videos. I love comments. And if you subscribe, like, do all the things you need to do. Sorry, I'm not looking at the camera, but I'm trying not to step in puddles. I will make more videos. I kind of think that might be a fun one, is to go around town, go to different businesses that are locally owned, non-corporate, kind of art-based, fun, weird stuff, whatnot. And yeah, I'll make some more videos. All right, have an awesome day. I'm having an awesome day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.